Yes, this is Mr. Controversy, and this is the infamous three-point conversion station. Keep it locked. Welcome. You're inside the world of Mr. Controversy. This is the debut. And of course, I am Mr. Controversy. Did you miss me? And welcome once again. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a great show. We're going to have lots of fun. We're going to have guests come on. I might be by myself. You just never know. 2, 3, 4 people as guests. We'll see. But let me explain. When I say inside the world of Mr. Controversy, we will dive into topics that, again, most people don't want to talk about, or say certain things that most people won't say. But this is the time and this is the place where you will see that. I mean, we like to get into sports. We're fans. We're not experts. So we can say what we want as fans. That's what we are. So let's start right now. So I want to talk about 3 people. First of all, we're talking about people that are, or players that are retiring, that are leaving the game. We have some players that are leaving too soon. Some players are leaving at the right time. Even B.J. Raji from the Green Bay Packers decided to take a hiatus, saying because of health issues with his auntie and his mom. So we definitely want to wish him well, and hopefully everything works out with that. And he said he's not ruling out returning for the league. So we'll see. And I'm not going to make any Packer jokes or anything like that, knowing I'm a Bears fan, you see. But this is serious, so hopefully everything works out. Now, Peyton Manning called it quits after a Super Bowl run and a Super Bowl. And before, I always said that he was number 3, and I ranked him 3 as far as greatest quarterbacks of all time. But I can't lie. After watching his ceremony and watching him, give his speech, retirement speech, I even shedded a tear. Yes, Mr. Controversy shedded a tear. But to hear him speak and to talk, everything came back. And it made me realize he might be the greatest quarterback that ever played. He has 2 championships. Everybody want to talk championships. He has 2, whether he was a part of it or not. He has 2. But then you look at the way he impacted the game. He came in and he changed the game. He changed the way the game was played. You think about great quarterbacks. Think about players like Johnny Unitas, who changed the game. Dan Marino, who changed the game. Then you have Peyton Manning, came in, changed the game. Now it's a passing league, all because of Mr. Peyton Manning. The way he called his audibles. Everybody wanted to come in and audible now. That's the name of the game, audible. Call the lines at the plays. So, call the plays at the line, excuse me. So, again, he impacted the game. He changed the game. He has all of the stats, and he has 2 championships. Some people might say he's not clutch, which I've been saying, but maybe he's the best quarterback that ever played. I don't know. I think I changed my mind. And we got to talk about Charles Woodson. He retired. And Charles Woodson came out and stated that he was retiring during the middle of the season. So, great cornerback, great player. To me, I don't even just look at him as a cornerback. He was just a great football player. I think when you talk about great football players, in my opinion, you can put him top 10. No, I don't have a stop it button. If you all don't know what I'm talking about, you need to check out my show, the 3-Point Conversion Sports Lounge, on a 3-Point Conversion station on Spreaker, Spreaker radio. It's an app, and I'm on iHeart as well. So go ahead and follow that, and iTunes. But I don't have a stop it button. But honestly, I think he's top 10 of all time as football players, just a football player. So kudos to him. And one more, Calvin Johnson announced his retirement. What's going to happen? Let's find out. This is what the topic's all about. This is what we're discussing today. Hey, is Megatron. Calvin Johnson, is he Hall of Fame worthy? Is he going to be first ballot? Let's talk about it. My boys, people who know sports, we had to talk about the situation. So again, with Calvin Johnson retiring, this puts him eligible to become a Hall of Famer, first ballot, with Peyton Manning and Charles Woodson. So today we're talking, does he get in? And if he's Hall of Fame worthy, is he first ballot? So first off, I want to bring my man in, Mr. Aaron Langley. Aaron, what's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going, man?
No problem, man. I like how you representing the Bears. That's how we do. Then I got my main man over here, Mr. Mike Patton. What's going on, Mike?
Nothing much, I don't have all the Bears stuff in the background, my wall is barren, except for the 3 pictures in the background, but everything else is okay.
That's all right. So we're going to do it like this. All right. So, Aaron, you heard the topic. With Calvin Johnson, does he get in? Is he a Hall of Famer? And is he first ballot? Go ahead.
Okay. I'll start it off by saying I love the fact that it's looking like the Detroit Lions have sort of a Bambino curse on them, because all their stars seem to do the same thing. From Barry Sanders leaving to now you got your boy Megatron leaving. So as a Chicago Bears fan, I'm loving it. But I can't hate on Calvin, because Calvin has been a dominant receiver for the last how many years now? Now the question of him being a first ballot Hall of Famer, I think he's in the question of being a Hall of Famer. First ballot, I'm not so sure. My reason is why there's a couple of people on the list right now. He's 27th on the list in terms of receiving right now, out of all receiving. And some of the names that are above him right now, and I know he dominated, I just wish he would have kind of dominated for maybe 2 or 3 more years to kind of get the stats up. Now, some of the people who are above him, Derek Mason, more yards than Calvin Johnson. Anquan Bolden, still in the league, going to have much more than him. Jimmy Smith, Henry Elliott, names like that are right above him. So, I think by retiring so soon and kind of, sudden, that may hurt him from being a first ballot Hall of Fame. But you can't deny the fact that he holds the NFL receiving record. He broke Jerry Rice's, the #1 top dogs record. Even the second leading receiver in NFL history, which is Terrell Owens, who needs to get in there, and in my opinion should have been first ballot, but maybe it was his mouth that kept him out. Just the receiver game, period. This is the hardest class to judge when it comes to judging. Running backs are easy. Quarterbacks, they know, But when it comes to receivers, because it's so thick, you have so many on there who are not even in there yet. Right now, Calvin Johnson has more touchdowns than 8 current Hall of Fame wide receivers. So you can argue that as well. But I still think there's some people above him right now that may need to get a look first, because they have better stats than him. Maybe they play more years, but they still have better stats. And then when you see something like Derek Mason, I'm sorry, Derek, when you see someone like that who has more yards than you on there, you got to kind of think just a little bit.
All right, Mike.
All right, yeah. Derek Mason, wow. I remember watching him as a Titan here in Nashville, and then they let him go like about half the team. But, that's another story. What I can say about Calvin Johnson is it's definitely one of the greatest all-time seasons with 122 receptions, 1,964 yards. That was unbelievable. I thought he was going to be a machine after that. But it seems like since that year, he's kind of fell off a little bit, even though he did put up great numbers, but he wasn't the same guy. It's kind of like he left it all out there after that season. And just like for his Hall of Fame, for him being in the Hall of Fame, I would say it's going to kind of remind me of the Tim Brown story. Tim Brown took forever to get in there. He eventually got in, but it took him forever. You look at the numbers comparing Tim Brown to Calvin Johnson. You got 731 receptions, 619 yards, and 83 TDs. That's for Calvin Johnson. You've got 1,000 receptions, 1,400 receiving yards, and 100 career touchdowns for Tim Brown. And he struggled to get into the Hall of Fame. Struggled. Mm-hmm. So you put his numbers against Randy Moss, against Terrell Owens, against Marvin Harrison, and his numbers aren't near any of those numbers. So do I think he gets in the Hall of Fame? Yeah, eventually, because those guys are going in sooner than he is. And the way the leagues are going now, you may have a bunch of guys starting to retire early, and that may help his case. Other than that, I don't, maybe on the 5th try he gets in, or maybe he gets in as the senior member of the Hall of Fame.
Who, Calvin?
Yes, Calvin. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so
dang.
I said it.
Okay.
Look, see that name on the screen? It's Mike Patton. I said it.
But Mike, this is what I feel. I hear what you're saying, but I guess what you all fail to realize, and you mentioned it in a sense, but you didn't come out and say it, is the fact that he dominated his whole time in the league. But the thing is, he's number one in every statistical stat for a wide receiver. His whole time he's been there. So yes, he should get in. He's getting in, but that's why he should get in first. Now, true enough, he retired early. Should that hurt him? It should. But like Aaron mentioned, Derek Mason, Henry Ellert, I mean, they played a long time, and they had good teams except for Henry Ellert, but as far as Derek Mason played on some nice teams, went to the Super Bowl. But we're talking about Calvin Johnson, and the only thing that might hurt him is the fact that people say, well, he didn't win that chip. But he played for the Detroit Lions. They suck. And for real, I mean, you got Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford's all right, but I'm just saying, if we look at, I'll put it like this. We know Peyton's going to get in, right? Everybody say Charles Woodson should get in. I'll say this. Peyton Manning, he dominated his tenure as far as a quarterback, right? Because he has all of the records plus 2 Super Bowls. Charles Woodson beasted, but Charles Woodson wasn't the best cornerback, I don't think, in his era. Or during his time, because it was champ. But Calvin Johnson was the best receiver, bar none. Yes, he doesn't have a chip, but Peyton Manning had great teams. Charles Woodson had great teams. Calvin Johnson played for the Detroit Lions, and I'm not trying to talk about the Lions. I know I'm a Bears fan, but I'm just being real. You can't put that on him because he did his job. He was triple team. He was double team. Yeah.
Well, I'll say this. Right now you're basing it all off the stats. Now, if he would have stayed there for a couple more years, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. But you have dominant players, and correct me if I'm wrong, y'all. But you have people who've dominated in their era in terms of positions that aren't even being considered. Maybe if it was for 3 years, 4 years. I remember Clinton Portis had a tear, between Denver and Washington. He was tearing it up in terms of rushing. Sean Alexander for a couple of years. I know y'all trying to remember that. Tearing it up for years in terms of stats. But if you would have stayed there for a little longer, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But yes, it was a bad team. But you mentioned it yourself. Henry Elliott, who has more yards than him. A couple of these people, they've had bad teams, and yet they still have more yards than him. Now, it took a while, but Calvin still had 2 or 3 good years with Detroit. How many good years? They did have 2 years where they got to the play.
Oh, you mean the team? I thought you said Calvin. Okay, right.
The team.
Right.
So you can't say that they sucked the whole time.
Yes, they did, because they never won a playoff game.
Well, they still had some teams, and he's not the whole team. Now, and if you also look at it, when did Larry Fitzgerald start having really good teams? Or how many teams sucked while Larry Fitzgerald was on there beasting up?
Exactly. And y'all would say that might get in here. Y'all would say that Larry Fitzgerald is the first ballot Hall of Famer. You can't say he's not.
That's different.
Oh, how is it different? That's my opinion.
Because first of all, his stats are better.
Bingo.
His stats are better, and of course, he's had a couple more better teams.
He's played with great quarterbacks, though. He's had great quarterbacks. But
Farmer's great. When did that happen?
No, he had Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner's in the Hall of
for
Fame.
2 years. He only had Kurt Warner for like 3 years.
And they went to the Super Bowl.
Before that, and you had to look at it. What was Larry Fitzgerald working with as opposed to what Calvin Johnson was working with?
He had Anquan Bolden. What you mean? Come on, man. Calvin Johnson has been the focal point of the offense. Mike, get in here. He's been a focal point of the offense. Go ahead, Mike. What you got to say?
He's been a focal point of the offense. I will say this. He's definitely answered more prayers for Matthew Stafford than the Pope has. So, you know.
Exactly.
But I cannot put him in the Hall of Fame on top. I just
Not first ballot.
cannot do it, won't do it.
But, okay,
No.
so why? If y'all put Larry Fitzgerald in there, why wouldn't you put
I got
Calvin
this.
Johnson?
All right, now here's why I put him in there over Calvin Johnson. Better stats. He actually has won ball games too. So he's done that. You got to think also, a lot of these stats that Calvin Johnson has put up, Detroit was behind in a lot of these
Yes,
games.
trash
And
stats.
he was just basically getting these yardage in fourth quarter and mop-up duty.
Trash stats.
So,
Nah,
you have to look at
Football
that too.
trash stats.
Yeah,
Calvin.
you have to look at that too. The stats are there, but you got to look how the stats are made too.
no, and trust me, he was getting touchdowns in the first, second, and third quarter. We know that. Now, Matthew Stafford got bad stats later, you know, but I guess it's almost like Barry Sanders. We all know Barry Sanders was first ballot Hall of Fame. I mean, no doubt. And Barry Sanders played on some bad teams. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, that run in the 90s, mid-90s, 2 years, they had a great offense. But for the most part, he played on some bad teams, but you can't put that on Barry. And the same thing with my man, because we all know Matthew Stafford sucks.
You can't compare the two.
But
You
no,
can't
but
compare the two.
what I'm saying is though, no, all I'm comparing, I'm not saying they're the same player. I'm saying they both played on bad
What I'm
teams.
saying is it's a running back position. You know, the running back
He
position.
got people blocking. What? He got people
The
blocking.
wide receiver position was, it's stacked at this point in terms of people who were basically, but Barry and Emmett and Thurman Thomas, you know, it was a rare commodity of beast running backs like that, you know? So they were kind of in a league of their own like that. But in terms of wide receivers, just like we're looking at stat sheets, there are plenty of wide receivers right here still waiting to get a call. They got better stats than Calvin. And I think the argument is going to definitely change again because after next year, he's going to have 2 or 3 more people pass him on the wide receiver now in terms of all-time yardage. Right. Brandon Marshall was 400 yards behind him. Brandon Marshall, Jets, Bears. Brandon Marshall is going to get 1,000 yards next year, if not 800. Okay? Jason Witten, a tight end. He's about to pass him as well. All I'm saying
But
is...
look how long they've been playing though, Aaron. They've been playing longer than Calvin. All I'm saying is with Calvin, as great as Brandon Marshall is, you know, that's one of my favorite players. Brandon Marshall didn't dominate the way Calvin did. That's all I'm saying.
Be careful.
No,
And
I said he didn't.
Brandon will play one more year more.
But he didn't. I'm saying he didn't dominate the way Calvin did. Calvin was triple team. Triple team. Now, true enough, Brandon has some horrible quarterbacks. But I'm saying Calvin
one is still there now.
Right. But Calvin Johnson was triple team, and he still was coming out 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. And first of all, I always say this about Hall of Famers. You look at Peyton Manning, like I've said earlier, Peyton Manning he's the type that's changed the game. You know, his whole, you have quarterbacks like Joe Montana who were great. You have running backs like Emmett who were great. But players like Barry Sanders, Peyton Manning, they changed the game. Calvin Johnson changed the game. I mean, he came in where now we looking for that big receiver who can run like lightning and still have hands to catch and can break tackles and take it to the house. You don't see that anymore. Or you know, you want players like that, but it's never gonna be somebody who can emulate him like that. So
I agree with you. But I'll stand by this. I just think that he hurt himself by retiring so early. You know?
You did.
We know he was dominant because I personally loathe Calvin Johnson. When I heard that he retired, I had a little celebration.
Me too.
You know,
I
because
did.
I don't have to deal with him
Right.
torch, Fuller every day and hurting the Bears. I just don't have to. But at the same time, yeah, you're right. He's a dominant player, but did retiring early hurt his chances? If he would have had 2 more 1,000-yard seasons or just gotten a little bit more, it would have put him in the 14,000-yard range, which would have put him over like 5 more receivers, closer to the top. I just think retiring early really hurt him because look at it, his stats don't lie. He got to 10,000 yards, faster than the youngest to get there by any receiver. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, but what have you done for me lately? And is it enough? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Is it enough? It may not be because they're looking at he's 27th on the list. There's 26 more wide receivers that are higher than him in terms of yardage on the list. I mean, you can't deny that stat. Yes, you dominated. You were the best. But at the same time, why didn't you be the best just for a couple more years in order to get yourself up there to be considered first ballot?
All right.
I'm not arguing that he was a beast. I'm just saying you retired a little too early. You should have got at least a couple more stats on there so we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Go ahead, Mike.
I can't really knock him for retiring. I'm like, hey, you do what you gotta do. You got your money, you got your bread, you got your family. Do your thing. Don't take it to the next chapter of your life. But of course, I agree. He did retire early, and that hurts his numbers. But the one thing I don't think you may be looking at, Mr. Controversy, is that this is a passing league now, and his numbers are not going to hold up as being great numbers over time.
No, it's
I
not.
mean, look at the guy hanging in Aaron's background, Alshon Jeffrey. He could put up great numbers too, and he's playing with Jay Cutler, which a lot of
Hey.
But hey, I'm gonna talk about it. But what I will say is that definitely the era that we're in where you can't really be physical with wide receivers anymore, I think those numbers are not going to stand the test of time, and that will hurt him in the Hall of Fame ballot. Yeah.
Right. But you bring up a good point because, like you said, we are in that era where they're throwing the balls like crazy. I get that. But again, when you don't have other receivers that are triple team, you don't have other receiver that they have one side maybe, and then you can't even do that to Antonio Brown because he has other wide receivers that are good, but
Not that good. But
Martavis Bryant is the beast. Come on,
Martavis Bryant isn't suspended for 4 games. I mean.
No, but I'm just saying when he's on the field, he's the beast.
Well, let me say this, and y'all aren't going to like me for saying this, but if the second leading receiver in yards with 15,934 yards didn't make it first ballot, then how is somebody who's 27th on the list with 11,600 something going to make it? Terrell Owens didn't make it, and you can argue the attitude thing all your life. But
Good question. But see, but you answered your own question. Chris Carter was, when he first came in, he was, I know he cleaned his life, but he was on that stuff. Terrell Owens, they don't like him because of the rumors and everything he did with teams in the locker room, so on. Calvin Johnson played the game the right way. He didn't complain. You know what? He kind of reminds me of Shaq, just because the fact that he got beat up, he never complained. He was the only receiver that they let be physical. And I know this for a fact because we were physical with him, Aaron. You know that. The Bears were physical with him. Every team got to be physical because he was big. They didn't give him calls like they would give other little receivers. But he never complained. He played it the right way. He respected
it the right way. But let me say this, Mr. Controversy. I mean, you talking about maybe Terrell didn't get in because of controversy. Now, I'm sorry, Marvin Harrison, but you were pretty much a hitman, and you got in.
We know why he got in, right? You know how he got in.
So you can't really argue the whole controversy thing.
No, but
that's more controversy than him picking up teams.
But he got in because of Manning. Hold on, he got in because of Manning. He got in because of Manning. And you guys know that Peyton's father run the league. Everybody, keep it real, keep it 100. Peyton's father, Archie, that he's a G, and he runs the league. We know that. So that's why Marvin Harrison got in. So let's be real.
Probably
the very reason why he got in.
Right. You owe me. But that's what I'm saying. But that is a good point, though. The fact that it's a passing league, and he has a lot of things working against him. But I think because one thing we found out, and we continue to see with the Hall of Fame, is if they like you, they're gonna look out for you. If they didn't like you, you're not getting in. And that's my thing, and that's why I say, of course, we know that Charles Woodson, he was a beast. He deserves to be first ballot, no doubt.
Yeah.
But who had their imprint on the game more, Charles Woodson or Megatron? And people are gonna say, yeah, because Charles Woodson won a chip, and he was a big reason. I get that, but again, he played on a great team, and I just think that it's not right to hold Calvin back just because his team sucked. He was that team. He was the reason why they got 4 or 5 wins in the season.
I don't think they're holding him back because of that. I think they're holding him back simply for the fact that your stats are 27th on the list. I mean, I think he still will get in. And I do agree with you. I mean, it is about who you like. So most likely he is going to get in. I don't believe it'll be first ballot because as much as I love this running back, he got in because he was likable, in my opinion. And you all might argue this. When Curtis Martin got in, like that, I was like, whoa. I was like,
right.
Wait a minute. I didn't see this coming. I really didn't see that coming. But Curtis, now I got all his rookie cards. And I loved him as a running back, but I was shocked on that. But Curtis Martin was that quiet dude that didn't mess with anybody. Just that good guy with the curly hair that ran for 14,000 yards on the ground. So I was like, so you're right. There might be an exception made for Calvin Johnson. But if I was on that team, I'll be like, 11,000 yards. Brandon Marshall just passed you. 3 others just passed you. Now you're 30th on the list. And Henry Elliott is still sitting out there. Torrey Holt is still sitting out there. Steve Smith is still playing because I think he said he was going to try to come back.
Okay, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
That's exactly what I was going to say. He hit the nail on the head right there. You got Steve Smith, Torrey Holt, you got Isaac Bruce out there. I mean, there's plenty of players out there, and he's gonna have stiff competition to try to get in. Like I said, he might be a senior member in the NFL Hall of Fame.
I can't believe that. So
it might be.
Okay, so we're gonna end it like that. We don't know, and we will see. Hopefully, I think we all hope he gets in first ballot, but like you said, it's some doubt. We will see. And I think it's some doubt as well. I just believe that he should be first ballot. But we'll see. That's how it goes in the NFL. So first of all, I'd like to thank my guest for coming on. Mr. Aaron, where can we find you and follow you?
Just find me on Facebook, man.
Well, okay, what? Facebook, what is it? Aaron Langley? What?
Aaron Langley.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Typical sports fan, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's all I am, man. Just a fan.
Okay, Mike, where can we find you, sir?
You can find me on Twitter at General_MP.
All right. And once again, I'd like to thank them for coming on for the debut of Inside the World of Mr. Controversy. This is how we do it, Inside the World of Mr. Controversy. There's going to be some discussion, debates. That's how it goes. The truth. Hey, you might not like it, but it's the truth, or it's what we think. Put it like that. And of course, you all can follow me on this station on the YouTube channel, the 3 Point Conversion, which you're watching, and also follow the Spreaker radio station. Spreaker app is SPREAKER, and follow the 3 Point Conversion station. Make sure you check out the website, the3pointconversion.com. And am I missing anything else? Or follow me on Mr. Controversy 21 on Twitter and the Facebook page, the 3 Point Conversion page. So until next time, we will see you next week. Will you miss me? We're out.